So let's take a look at the topics that we're going to hit in the presentation today, starting, of course, with the purpose of our travel, why we travel in honors, why that's important to us. We'll also introduce you to the leaders on our team and talk about how to be a good guest on tour and in the countries that we'll be visiting. We'll go over the ground rules for going on an honors trip with us and tell you how to stay safe on the tour and how to stay healthy on the tour. We'll tackle packing too and tell you things that you need to be considering before you ever get started. We'll cover money matters and we'll also go over what you'll experience going through customs and immigration with us. And finally, we'll key in on a couple of itinerary specifics that should help you plan your free time in our destinations a bit better. First things first, why do we travel? Well, we're seeking extraordinary experiences and educational adventures. And the purpose, or our goal, I should say, is that we want to become better than we were before we left. And that could look a few different ways for you, or it may include all of the below that you see on your screen. It could be that you're a better communicator when you come back because you've had practice navigating and communicating past cultural barriers and language barriers. And hopefully you'll be a better thinker when you return as well because you'll learn different perspectives. You'll also have a chance to problem solve how to get from one end of the city to the other using a new metro system, using maps, figuring out how long it's going to take and what stops to get off at. You also will be a better citizen, both in the United States and a better global citizen, because you will have had a chance to appreciate as well as interact with other customs traditions that people in other places have. And we hope that you'll be a better human being when you return, as well as for ourselves, we hope that we want to make sure that you've had a chance to strengthen your cultural sensitivity, that you can see and appreciate what other people might be doing better than we're doing at home, or maybe some part of what they're doing is better and we can piece that together with what we know we already do well and we can all be better off for it. So yeah, the key word here is better, and that's why we travel. So let's take a look at tour etiquette and how to be a good tour participant as well as a good guest of the countries that we're going to be visiting. First and foremost, you would expect to see this on our list. We want everyone to be respectful toward not only our host countries, but to each other. And we also expect everyone in our group to be law abiding. The laws of the countries we visit may differ, actually, they probably differ from ours in different ways. And every once in a while, they'll catch a tourist by surprise because they don't expect it. An example of this would be if you went to a national monument or park or a beach, a historic place, and a particular country had laws about removing anything from those locations. Even a pebble on the beach could be a crime worthy of a fine. So we want to make sure that if our tour director ever points out any of these laws to us, that we are very mindful of them and very careful to uphold them. The next thing is to be open. You want to make sure that you are open to trying the new experiences that you're going to be seeing because they're going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot of new food. You're going to witness new customs and traditions, definitely new phrases. So if you are open, you will learn. It will be like you're a sponge and you'll have an excellent time doing that. If you are scared, timid, or just I guess too confident in your own ways of doing things to appreciate something new, then you really won't have as good of an experience as the person next to you will. We also ask that everybody in our group be punctual. 5 minutes early is actually on time when you're traveling with us because we ask everyone to be at the rendezvous point 5 minutes earlier than our meetup time. It allows for hiccups. Maybe an elevator is slow going down to the lobby where we're all meeting, or there may be some traffic where you're crossing the street to meet our bus where it's parked and waiting for us. So definitely allow yourself that extra window of time and be there when we ask you to be there. It's very important when there's a large group, and we'll touch on that a bit more later. We also want you to be learning. This is an educational adventure, so be looking for every opportunity you can to learn something, and you'll find that every experience is a learning opportunity. And last but certainly not least, when you're traveling with a group, we ask that you be flexible. Take the good with the bad and keep a positive attitude. And again, you're going to enjoy the trip a whole lot more that way. So we promised to give you an overview about actual ground rules for our particular tour, and we keep it as simple as possible both for the students and for ourselves. We want to make sure that everybody's safe, and we also want to be efficient with our time. And the more efficient we are with our time, the more free time you guys have. So there is thought put into all of these procedures. Let us know if you have questions about them, but I think you'll find they're pretty straightforward. The first thing is our head counts. We have each traveler assigned to a team, and that team is headed by a team leader, so one of us, and we will be the person doing the head counts for our particular team. It allows us to count you guys a lot faster than the bridge technique that we used to do where everybody walked through two leaders and we were counting. And we also get to know the travelers in our team a bit better on the tour, which is an added bonus. Our head counts we do so regularly, you're going to find them to be second nature by the time we're at the end of the tour. We will do head counts, particularly while we're going through airports. So be prepared for that and be ready to stand up and be counted at the particular time that we have our meetups and our rendezvous at different locations, like at the gate or before security, after security, etc. So be very attentive to your team leader, and whenever their hand goes up, that means that we're about to do a head count. You circle around them, they count you up, and they put their thumb up if all of you are there, or they put however many fingers up of people they are missing, and then we all kind of try to figure out which of the team member is missing, and of course locate that person if we need to. Sign outs. Mentioned this on another slide, but basically you sign out on a list each night, and the only days that we don't do this are the days that, well, the night we're in the plane, and then potentially the first night that we're on the ground if everybody's too tired to go out. Our travel breaks when we're transferring from point A to point B inside an airport or at a museum or wherever we are where we could get easily separated, but it's very important for us to all make it there together. We will do a head count at point A and then at point B before anyone gets to break away for free time, even if that's the bathroom. So be prepared when we get off of a plane and we're trying to get to a connecting flight that we will do a head count as soon as everyone's off the plane. We will go through all of the passport checks and the security and everything until we get to the other gate. We will confirm that that's our gate and that they haven't moved the plane or where we're departing from. And then we will give you a time to be back there. We'll do a head count, make sure everybody got through, and then you'll be dismissed to go and grab a snack or use the restroom or change money, whatever it is you need to do. Conduct reports. So there is a form that we bring with us on our tours that each team leader has, and this is to record any violations of trip rules or problem behavior. And the conduct report is written up by the leader and gone over with the student. So every student has the opportunity to talk about what happened and see the report themselves. And we discuss as a leader team what kind of action needs to be taken. Because some infractions will be minor and some of them will be a lot more serious. We hope none of them are a lot more serious, but there are different things that can get you evicted from the tour immediately. Health and safety alerts. So look out for each other and let us know when someone else is feeling badly or acting unsafely. They may not be in a position to alert us themselves, and that's why we ask everybody to be a good group member and look out for each other. And we will definitely be looking not only for unhealthy people that aren't feeling healthy, but people that are not acting safely, like if they are going off by themselves or if they are overindulging in alcohol or just doing something else that they shouldn't. And this also, a point of concern is if somebody is not eating and not getting the nutrition that they needed, we need to work with that person in order to find something that they can eat, because everybody should stay healthy and be well fed on our tours. Our mini groups, like I mentioned, are and they're a way for you guys to have safety in small packs while we're out and about and enjoying our free time. So we say groups of four, three or more, but like I said, I prefer four because if one person gets hurt, then a buddy can stay with that person while the other pair goes off to get help, and you never have one person left alone. But definitely three. Four is better. And these just ground rules, like I said, they make sense. They're pretty simple and straightforward to understand. We'll practice them and when we get to our initial airport for departure, and you'll start to see the head counts work, and you'll get to see how our travel breaks work, and then the sign outs will begin once we're on tour, and you will be able to flow with the ground rules and our procedures very easily. But of course, as always, if you have any questions about any of this, you're welcome to ask us. Here are some tips on preventing theft while we're on tour. We want to make sure that you have the knowledge you need in order to prevent theft of your money and your valuable belongings. Make sure that anything valuable is kept in your core area. These valuables should be kept in a neck wallet or a money belt, and we can give you examples of those. But don't keep them in a front or back pocket of your coat or your pants, because those are definitely easy for a skilled pickpocket to get at. And if you've got a backpack that you're going to be carrying with you, don't put anything valuable in the backpack. A guidebook, a sweater, a scarf is okay, but don't put your passport, your money, or fancy jewelry inside the backpack. The things that are very important to you, like your money and your passport, should be kept in your core area in either a neck wallet or a money belt and under a layer of clothing. Another tip is that on your last day, we may encourage you to leave your passport back at the hotel room locked up so that you don't risk losing it the day before we fly home. We'd hate for you not to be able to fly home with us just because you lost your passport the day before we left. In the cities, you'll want to avoid street scams. People will try to get your hard-earned cash from you by selling stolen items. Be skeptical of items being sold on blankets on the sidewalk, for instance. They may also claim to give you something for free and then demand money from you after you accept. There are lots of creative ways that the scam artists try to trick you. We'll help point out some other potential scams as we spot them on tour, but in general, just be careful on the streets. Whenever you use ATMs, you'll want a friend standing behind you watching your back and not letting a stranger get too close or look over your shoulder to see your PIN number. Someone could pretend to be on their phone but actually be recording a video, so stay alert. It also gives you a semi-private moment to check the money you withdrew, tuck it away in your neck wallet, etc., before going out into the street and walking around. Just don't stick it in a front pocket. Be aware of your surroundings at all times. We try to make sure to only bring you to safe spots on tour, but there will be free time when you get to go places on your own. So please avoid shady areas and alleyways and always stay alert to trouble. Just like there are parts of any U.S. city where you feel safer than others, it's the same in European cities. When we are gathered in a circle listening to a group leader, the tour director, or a local guide, come in tight and listen closely. We'll be giving you important information at that time, whether it's about landmarks or plans for later. The closer you are in the circle, the better you will hear. Also, the tighter you are as a circle, the less space we take up in the way of other people on the sidewalks. And a tight circle will also allow the group leaders to watch the outside of the circle for shady characters or pickpockets who are too interested in your bags. And then we'll do the same thing on metro platforms waiting for trains. Put copies of important documents in your checked bag. Why your check bag? Because your personal item or carry-on will have the originals, and you want to separate the copies from the originals. We'll recommend copies of your passport in particular, since having a color copy will expedite getting a new one issued while on tour if you were to lose your passport. Other copies to have would be copies of your debit card, health insurance card, etc. Having a copy will allow you to contact those companies and file a claim or request a replacement should you lose the original, but don't store the copies of those with the originals. And finally, when you make a purchase, check your change and check your receipts to make sure you were charged correctly and received the correct change. So, staying healthy on tour is really important because you don't want to spend a lot of money to go on this trip and see all these cool places and not feel well enough to actually enjoy them. That's why we always remind the travelers that are going with us to, over the winter break and all those holidays that happen during the winter, to stay healthy, wash your hands, get rest, get some exercise, because you definitely will appreciate the exercise leading up to the tour since it gets your body ready for all of the walking and stair climbing you're going to be doing. Take your vitamins, please, and just make sure that you're giving yourself a really good chance to start the tour strong. If you start the tour ready to go and healthy, then some other tips here will help you stay feeling well on the rest of the tour. No illegal drug use, no alcohol use for those under 21, no excessive use for those that are 21 or older. We ask you to stay hydrated, so drinking water, getting your electrolytes will be important, especially if you start to notice some higher elevations that we may be at. You may feel a little bit less hydrated than you normally do. And we ask that you eat quality foods too. Like I mentioned, they're going to be giving us lots of potatoes and lots of proteins, but you want to make sure that you're getting your fruits and your vegetables in too. Keep copies of all your medical prescriptions and keep the medicine in your original containers if you can. This will help as you're going through the airports and they're checking different things. But also, if you lose some and you need to get a medical prescription refilled, this may help get that done a bit easier. Washing your hands frequently is important because of all of the shared surfaces that we're going to be touching and the airports and airplanes we're going to be in. Alert a group leader immediately if you don't feel well. Sometimes you're going to need a buddy to alert us for you if you're really feeling sick. And that's what, we're all there for, is to help each other out. Contact one of the leaders if you need something from the emergency kit, because we're going to have a kit that will keep overnight in one of our rooms, and it will have things like Tylenol, some stomach medicine, and different like head cold, sinus type of stuff. So just check with us if you need one of those items in the kit. Get up and walk around while you're on the plane. This is really healthy and it helps you to make sure that you don't have any of those stories come back with any of those stories like that deep vein thrombosis scary stuff that they talk about, but also it will break up the trip a little bit for you if after dinner you get up, walk around, take a bathroom break, and then go back and settle in for a nap in the middle of the plane ride. We also recommend that you use the bathroom on the plane before we get down on the ground, because we will have to get to the next gate very quickly and we won't be able to give you guys a break. So that's just a little tidbit about riding on the plane and how to make that better for you. Probably the questions that we get the most when we're getting ready for a trip are the packing questions. So let's tackle some of these things and see if you have any more specific questions when you actually come to our first meeting. The thing that you need to keep in mind when you're packing is, what do you actually need on your trip? You don't need your whole closet. You don't need all of the emergency stuff. You don't need your whole, medicine cabinet. You don't need a pharmacy in your suitcase. You only need to bring the things that you actually are most likely to use while you're on tour. So enough clothes, warm clothes to keep you feeling healthy and safe and warm on our very, very cold tour. The regular toiletries that you might use, any medications that your doctor has you on, that sort of thing. But you don't need to bring all kinds of paraphernalia that you never even really use when you're at home. You also want to make sure that you are using the space in your bag or your suitcase most efficiently. So we always recommend that you roll your clothes as tightly as you can, that you tuck things into other compartments. So for instance, if I have a pair of shoes, I can probably fit a number of pairs of socks rolled up inside those shoes, and I'm making use of that empty cavity inside my shoe, and I'm not wasting space that way. So think about that as you're packing. Also, think one medium suitcase and a carry-on. And I like to put my personal bag, my personal item, like any crossbody bag that I plan to have while I'm walking around on tour, inside my carry-on, and then I can just take it out whenever I need to access it. If you are looking for a suitcase, if you're in the market for a suitcase, I really enjoy the hardback ones. I used to have like the fabric softback suitcases, but I've really enjoyed having a hardback one. So if you're going to purchase one for this trip, you can let us know and we can give you a couple of suggestions of ones that transport very easily. Which comes to the next point, how comfortably can you transport your carry-on in your suitcase through the airports and upstairs? Can you carry it and maneuver it for moderate distances, like maybe around a couple blocks? The bus can't always get us right in front of our hotel on a busy street, so sometimes we have to walk a couple of blocks. And then sometimes the elevator, there's one elevator for the whole hotel, and it's really slow, and so a number of people end up having to carry their suitcases up the stairs or wait in the lobby forever. So we recommend that you definitely are able to lift your suitcase at least moderate distances upstairs. Now, obviously, if you're going to be on a seventh floor, you can wait for the elevator. And the airport, or not the airports, I'm sorry, the hotels that typically have no elevator, and those I found mostly in Italy, and they don't have seven floors usually. So you will find that if it's a hotel that doesn't have an elevator, you probably are only going up a few flight of stairs. Do you have any room left over in your suitcase once you get everything in it that you need? Because you're going to want to bring stuff back. You're going to see some cool things over there. You're going to want to bring back something that you can either use when you're back home to remember your trip, or in some cases to look at. And you don't need a whole lot of space. I recommend that you invest more in experiences than in physical things. But if you want to bring back some physical things, you want to make sure you have room for it to begin with. And also, don't bring anything that's too valuable. So if you have a really nice ring from your grandmother, or a really expensive electronic tablet or laptop, I would not recommend bringing that. It could get damaged in your bag in transit. It also could get stolen. So I would minimize the valuable things that you're bringing, and that you will not have to worry about it. It will give you a little bit more peace of mind while you're on the trip. The last thing is, if you really need it, can you get it in Europe? And the answer is most likely yes, because they have shops everywhere, and there will be chunks of free time where you can stop and go to a pharmacy or go to a grocery store, or even a clothing store if you forgot socks or something like that. So definitely know that there will be opportunities for you to go and take care of a need if you forget it. Now, we provide a list for you because we don't want you to forget anything, but every once in a while something will come up, like you didn't pack Band-Aids and all of a sudden you have a blister, so you want to go get Band-Aids at a pharmacy, and we can point you in the direction of a pharmacy. But the idea is pack lightly, pack intentionally, so that you can enjoy yourself. I don't think that I've heard many people say that they wish they had packed more. Most people wish they had packed less. So whenever we get to that point, we'll give you some reminders, and we might even have a few more specific tips for you. But feel free to glance at the packing checklist that we provide to you and use that as a starting point, as a guide, and then you can add any specific things that you need, like medications, etc., to that list and use it for whenever you're packing. And then also bring it along with you, because whenever we move from hotel to hotel, you can use that list to make sure that you are repacking the things that you packed in the first place, and that can help you avoid leaving something behind in a hotel when we go on to the next location, like a charger or a phone or a passport. Okay? If you have any questions, feel free to email us. We definitely get a lot of these questions, but I hope that this information helped you, and I definitely hope that the checklist will help you as you get ready to pack. Let's talk briefly about money matters. We want to make sure that you are prepared with both how to keep your money safe and how to navigate spending money while you're abroad. You should probably plan on bringing about the equivalent of 40 US dollars per day for lunch and your just miscellaneous spending minimum. So the equivalent, it would be whatever the exchange rate is for the euro, since that's going to be the main currency that you're going to be utilizing on this tour. ATMs are the best way to get the most for your money, but always bring some US cash, maybe about $50,
to exchange at a kiosk, a money exchange place, or a bank in a pinch. Make sure that you withdraw from your checking account instead of your saving account. So you want to bring an ATM card that is linked to a checking account. We'll also remind you to reach out to your bank to let them know that you are going to be traveling internationally. The cards that are generally accepted most places in Europe are Visa and MasterCard. They moved to the chip and pen technology before the US even did. So make sure that the cards that you're bringing have a chip in them and that you've been issued a PIN to use when you are at a point of sale or at an ATM. If you don't have a PIN, you can contact your bank and ask them to establish one for you. You want to have a little cash on you for some of our roadside stops because these smaller mom and pop type shops that you're going to encounter outside of the big city may only want to accept cash. You will alert your bank and credit card company before you go to let them know that you'll be traveling internationally. Sometimes it's as easy as a phone call or logging into your account online and just putting a travel notice on there for the dates that you'll be out of the country. You want to bring photocopies of the cards so that you have the card number and the phone number to call in case you need to call because you lost your card and you need them to stop payment. Of course, all that information is on your card, but if you lose it, then you can't um, do a stop payment as easily. So this just makes it easier to contact them if you have a copy. You want to store the copies separately from the actual card. So for instance, if I'm bringing a card and I put it in my money belt or my neck wallet, then I'm going to keep the copies of those cards in my checked bag usually. When we return, the exchange places in the US generally do not accept coins. They'll accept the paper currency, but in Europe, with the euro, they use coins a lot more than we do. There's a 1 and 2 euro coin, and then there's a lot of individual change coins that are lower denominations than that. So you may get a lot of coins back whenever you're paying with cash at a different store or different restaurants, and that's going to add up quickly. Your pockets may get really heavy from all of that change, and we encourage you to spend that on the last day because, like we said, the places in the US that will exchange your money back for you once you return will only accept the actual paper bills. They won't accept these coins. So unless you want a lot of souvenirs, then I would get rid of them on your last day. Cheap lunches are very easy to do in Italy. It's easy to buy a slice of pizza or a toasted sandwich, just venturing into a cafe off the street. So that's an option. You're also welcome to go to grocery stores and get, some fruit or pre-made sandwiches or some bread and cheese and meat and have a picnic during your free time. Dr. Litton loves to do this on his tour, and he will probably point out the grocery stores to you that are near the hotels as you arrive at each location and let you know if, he's planning to go scout them out and you can go with him. So it's definitely possible to create cheap, but still really, really tasty lunches if you want to save money that way and use more of your money for experiences or souvenirs. So let's talk a little bit about customs and immigration. There are a couple of possibilities whenever the group is flying over to Europe. Sometimes the tour company will book us a direct flight and we will just go straight to our destination. Other times the tour company will have us connecting either in the US with another flight out of Dallas or somewhere else in Europe, maybe the UK, maybe in Paris. But if they do have us connecting somewhere, then the process is going to look a little bit different than if you just went straight to your final destination. So let's say that they have us connecting somewhere in Europe instead of the US. Let's just say maybe it was Heathrow or Paris. When you get off of your flight from the US, from Dallas, the first thing that the group leaders will do is a quick head count at that gate, and then they're going to follow the signs to a passport check. The passport check process, they're just going to briefly take a look at your passport, maybe ask you some questions about what you're doing in Europe and how long you're going to be there. Very simple to answer. You're just on an educational tour and you'll know the dates of your trip so you can tell them when you're coming back home. After that, sometimes they make you go and claim your checked luggage, not just the carry-on that you had with you on the flight, but your checked luggage, and then go through immigration. That's usually a very simple process. And after that, you have to recheck your bags and go back through security and go to your gate to get your connecting flight to Rome. So security can be really tricky for people that have just come from the US because it's an overnight flight. You're groggy, you got disorganized when you were taking out things and getting settled on the flight. So you had to hurriedly repack your personal item or your backpack while you were on the flight just before you landed. You may have forgotten to empty out your water bottle and you're about to go through the security again where they won't let you have over a certain number of ounces of water. So you have to make sure that you've gotten all of that organized again and ready to go through security so that you don't get held up, especially in airports where the security tends to be tighter, like Frankfurt or Heathrow. This can take a long time because then they'll start to hand search your bag and make sure that you didn't break any other rules. So we really wanted to remind you to make sure that you're paying attention, you've got everything neatly organized, you're ready to go back through security again, just like you were when you departed the US, and that way it will go smoothly for you. Now, if the tour company books us with a final destination straight flight, meaning you leave Dallas and you land straight in Rome, then the process is simply a passport check. Once you get off the plane, you claim your luggage and you walk through the exit at the baggage claim because immigration really doesn't stop you there. So you might walk through a doorway that says immigration, but they really don't stop you there when you're just arriving into the country, and your tour director will meet you on the other side of the baggage claim once you've exited. When you return to the US, there are some strict rules about the customs area. You can't use your cell phone when you're in the customs area, and that line can be long. So just chat with your friends, but don't let them catch you using your phone as you get close to the kiosks and to the agents. When you get off the plane, you are directed straight to the customs area before you get your luggage. You'll go to a kiosk and check in. If you are wearing glasses or a hat at that time, you'll need to take it off because the computer will take a quick photo for you that will put it on your declaration slip that the kiosk then prints for you. You take that slip and you take the passport and get in line for the immigration booth where you'll talk to an agent. So basically, the kiosk will walk you through some questions that you'll answer about what you brought back abroad. Dr. Litton can answer some questions for you before you ever get to this point about how to typically answer those questions. But then you take your slip and the passport with you to show an agent, and then you pick up your luggage and you get in the customs line. You may have to talk to an agent again in the customs line, but once you have cleared customs, you'll enter an area where everybody is waiting for their friends and family to pick you up from the airport and bring you home. There is a link provided in the notes of this training module that will take you to a list of prohibited items. You want to make sure that you are careful not to bring back anything that is restricted in the US. This can be different kinds of plants, different kinds of foods that aren't properly packaged, like meats and stuff that aren't vacuum sealed and whatnot. They won't want you to bring those back. So check this before you buy souvenirs if you're buying food or plant type of things, because they probably are either restricted in how you can bring them back or prohibited altogether. Now, things that are vacuum sealed, like a jar of pesto or jam, that's totally okay as long as you aren't bringing back a ton of it, because then they'll start to think that you're an importer. And so just kind of check with Dr. Litton, check with our tour director. They can help you with this process, but that link will also be very helpful for you to check before you start buying things.